So this is the handbook. So I hope it is visible on your screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now in this, we'll directly go to the concepts. So code of conduct for insolvency professionals.
Sir, is it by way of any rules or regulations or just a model code of conduct?
No. There are regulations actually. It is given in insolvency professional regulations. If you go to insolvency professional regulations, so there a schedule is there. In insolvency professional first schedule, code of conduct. So we can go directly there also, but coverage is more or less the same. We'll go to that also. So what is required? First is integrity and objectivity. Second, independence and impartiality. Professional competence, representation of correct facts and correcting misapprehensions. Information management, timeliness, confidentiality, occupation, employability and restrictions, remuneration costs and gifts and hospitality. So these are the 10 points which are expected from an insolvency professional. Now, first things first. What is the meaning of integrity and objectivity? So, integrity and objectivity means that you should be honest in your dealings. You should be straightforward. You should not hide facts because you are a professional. So, you should maintain integrity by being honest and straightforward in all professional relationships. Okay. So maintain integrity by being honest and straightforward, not misrepresent facts and refrain from actions that bring disrepute to the profession. Be objective in your dealings, disclose conflict of interest, and refrain from acquiring, whether directly or indirectly, the assets of the CD or knowingly permitting your relatives to do so. So these are the things which are expected from you. So integrity and objectivity. This is the
Sir,
expectation.
here they mentioned refrain from acquiring assets of CD.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it requires adjudicating authority approval.
Now that is the actually this is say code of conduct. So everything something may be permissible by law, but here they are saying you refrain from doing so because
Sir, whether it can be done on arm's length transaction, arm's length price. अगर इन केस वो चाहता है आईपी या उसके रिलेटिव्स को दिलाना और वो आर्म्स लेंथ ट्रांजेक्शन है तो हो सकता है या
you
आईपी
have
की
to obtain the
परमिशन ले
permission of the adjudicating authority that we have already seen in mode of sale. In
वो
mode of
ए की
sale,
परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी.
you have to obtain the permission of the adjudicating authority, but rather you should avoid. This is what they are saying.
राइट बट क्वेश्चन में ये राइट इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है घुमा करके.
हाँ,
इसके लिए
legally it is permissible if you get the permission of the adjudicating authority, but here they are saying you better avoid these things.
राइट.
Then objectivity.
बट सर पर्टिकुलरली ये हो सकता होता भी हो अगर ये नॉलेज में नहीं है किसी के और कोई रिलेटिव तो ये ए के उसमें नॉलेज में कैसे आएगा कि इधर ही इज रिलेटिव और नॉट.
नहीं, रिलेटिव डेफिनेशन ऑफ रिलेटिव इज देयर.
नहीं डेफिनेशन है सर. इट इन केस इज रिलेटिव इज डूइंग सो बट इट इज नॉट इन नॉलेज ऑफ adjudicating authority or NCLT and others authority and creditor CD and others.
No, that
what
is
happened in that
actually in case of liquidation, this sale will be conducted by the liquidator, and in case of individuals by bankruptcy trustee. So bankruptcy trustee is directly in touch with the person who is the acquirer of those assets.
Right.
So it may be that they include an undertaking that he is not related to any of the parties involved or something of that sort. So they might be obtaining some undertaking also to that effect,
Oh,
just to ensure. Otherwise, nobody will come to know that whose relative is doing what.
right.
So everything may not be in the knowledge of the IP also. So they may be obtaining an undertaking to that effect.
Okay. Okay.
So objectivity, being transparent in all his interactions and decisions, being collaborative and consultative, ensuring that all decisions are arrived at by active consensus and are not bulldozed by a dominant participant or by the IP himself. So objectivity should be there. So there should be no conflict of interest. Objectivity may also be threatened if any individual within the firm, the close or immediate family of an individual within the firm, or the firm itself has or had professional or personal relationship which relates to the insolvency appointment being considered. They have given some examples also. So what are the examples? Examples of circumstances that might create a conflict of interest. Has to deal with conflicting or competing interests between entities over whom he or another IP in their firm is appointed, or another insolvency practitioner in their firm has previously acted as an insolvency office holder to a company with a common director or common directors, where the IP has been appointed office holder to a number of insolvent companies with the same director or directors, there will be an increased risk of a conflict of interest arising. Has or others in their firm have previously carried out one or more assignments for an entity and or its wider group, and they are appointed as an insolvency office holder to the entity or its connected entities. Has or others in their firm have previously carried out one or more assignments for an entity's charge holders or stakeholders, and the insolvency practitioner is appointed as an insolvency office holder. So in all these cases, there might be conflict of interest. They have given illustration also. So what is the illustration? Resigned as RP after various non-compliances under the code and without permission of the adjudicating authority. So what was the contravention here? IP did not conduct the CIRP as required under the code. He did not make public announcement, convened the COC meeting with inadequate notice, and invited resolution plan only from the sole member of the COC without providing information memorandum, asking him to submit resolution plan in 4 days. IP did not run the CD operations as a going concern, neither did he take over the management of the CD, nor seek directions from A if he did not receive cooperation from the CD. IP resigned as RP from the 2 CIRPs without prior permission of the adjudicating authority. So all these were deemed as contraventions. Now what was the submission by the IP? The IP submitted that he did not have funds to make public announcement, because public announcement you have to make from your own funds. Because at that time there is no COC. He did not get cooperation from the CD and he was not well. As regards resignation, he has stated in the letter of resignation that he resigned on personal reason, while in his response to the AA, he mentioned that he resigned because he did not get fees and CD did not cooperate. Just a minute, I forgot to record the session. यह रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है? हो रही है?
नो सर, आवाज तो नहीं, वो आया नहीं सर, बताया नहीं, रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं बताता है, रिकॉर्डिंग इन प्रोग्रेस।
अच्छा, वो रिकॉर्डिंग शुरू से ही हो रही है, ठीक है ठीक है।
ओके,
वो क्या है कि पहले से रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन रहती है, ठीक है, नो इश्यूज।
Yeah, it's on, sir.
It's on, no? Ah, okay. So submission by the IP, this we have done. So findings, excuses towards non-cooperation from CD are not acceptable, as there was no evidence that the IP wanted to or tried to take over the management of the CD. So you have to maintain adequate documentation also. So if you are alleging that management is not cooperating, you have to maintain documentation whether you have tried, nor was this brought to the notice of the AA for any appropriate directions. Because in section 19(2), you can seek directions from the adjudicating authority. While prolonged sickness could be an excuse, it is not justified to indefinitely delay the CIRP until the IP recovers. Further, the sickness could be communicated on time to the AA, which may have appointed another IRP. The IP's excuse for resignation also had no merit. He had been appointed by the AA with the solemn objective and a statutory responsibility. He cannot run away just because he did not receive the fees. Accordingly, the IP was found violating these sections. Second case is appointment of third valuer at the instance of COC. So RP appointed third valuer to determine fair value and liquidation value of the CD at the desire of COC. So what was the submission by IP in this case? The RP submit, because whenever they will ask you a case study on this professional ethics, what they will do is they will give you some instances that okay, IP has done this, or you are an IP, what you will do in such a situation. So these instances will help us in taking a decision if we are stuck with a similar situation. So the RP submitted that the third valuation was done for the satisfaction of the stakeholders only. The decision of the COC to get a third valuation done was an exercise of its commercial wisdom to better equip the COC to take a final call on resolution plans. That the conduct of the third valuation at the desire of the COC does not invalidate the decisions or actions taken by the RP and has not in any way affected the acceptance or rejection of the resolution plan. Now, what was the finding? So, if we see regulation 35(1), so third valuer is to be appointed only if, in the opinion of the RP, the estimates submitted by the two valuers appointed earlier are significantly
different.
Thus, the act of the RP in appointing third valuer at the instance of the COC shows that he abdicated his authority in favor of the COC. Further, the fees incurred on the third valuer is an added financial burden on an already ailing CD, which is entangled in a web of debts. Accordingly, he was found violating. But now, as of now, if we see regulation 35(1), just let us read regulation 35(1) of CIRP regulations. So what it says? As of now, whether there is any change, let us see. Whether COC can also mandate that you appoint the third valuer? This is the question. Now I am reading from regulation number 35(1)(b). If the two estimates of a value in an asset class are significantly different, or on receipt of a proposal to appoint a third registered valuer from the committee of creditors. So the latest on this is that the committee may also propose. Okay? The resolution professional may appoint a third registered valuer for an asset class for submitting an estimate. So two conditions are there. Two estimates are significantly different or proposal is received from the COC. Okay? This report is old one. So that is why this point was not taken care. But as per the latest regulations, even if a proposal is received from the COC for appointment of third valuer can be appointed. Okay? Next. Next point is continue to draw the same remuneration even during liquidation. Because sometimes the RP is appointed as liquidator also. So the point here is whether he will continue to draw the same remuneration. The IP continued to draw the same remuneration in his capacity as the liquidator as he did in his capacity as the RP even after the CD is taken into liquidation. Okay? The IP submitted that the fees as RP was charged only until the units of the CD were kept as going concern and no fees has been charged as RP post the units were closed, and that the IP reserved the right to charge the remaining fees to be reimbursed out of the liquidation estate. Now, what are the findings? The findings are in cases where the fees of the liquidator has not been decided by the COC, the liquidator should draw fees in accordance with the table provided in Regulation 4.3 of Liquidation Process Regulations. The claim of the RP was immaterial as the provision of the regulation clearly provides for a separate structure of fees for the liquidator. Accordingly, the RP was found violating certain sections. Next is failure to represent on. Now let us see the latest on this. So what is the latest on this regarding fees of the liquidator. So let us see side by side the liquidation process regulations also. So if we see the liquidation process regulations, there is a regulation particularly dealing with liquidators fees. Regulation number 4 of liquidation process regulations. So what it says, the fees payable to the liquidator shall be in accordance with the decision taken by the COC under regulation 39D. So in CIRP, when CIRP process is coming to an end, the COC may recommend certain fees which shall be payable to the liquidator. Second, where no fees has been fixed, the consultation committee may fix the fees of the liquidator in its first meeting. And third is when in cases other than those covered above, so there is a chart which shows the fees payable to the liquidator based on the amount of realization and amount distributed. Okay? So these are the provisions. Failure to represent on behalf of the CD in an arbitration proceedings. So the point is, if some arbitration proceeding is going on, who will represent? Because the powers of the management stand suspended. So it is the RP who will represent. So in this case, arbitration petition was filed by an insurance company against the CD. Matter was heard during CIRP and was awarded in favor of the CD. Consequently, the insurer handed a check in the hands of ex-director of the CD who accepted as full and final settlement of the claim, thus foregoing an amount of 2.3 crores. The amount of INR 8.3 crores was duly deposited by the ex-director in the accounts of the CD. Only after the investigating authority raised its concern in this issue, the RP filed application before NCLT claiming an additional amount of rupees 2.3 crores from insurer and initiated appropriate actions against the ex-director and promoter of the CD under section 66 and 67. So the point is, who is to represent? The ex-director is not authorized to represent the CD during the CIRP process. And he made a compromise also because he was not authorized to do so. Okay? IP made a third party entity which is not IPE as one of the beneficiaries of insurance policy. So here, what was the case? An IP purchased 2 IP insurance policies from an insurer and made another entity which is not an IPE as beneficiary in the same. Cost incurred by IP in providing insurance to such entity was done in violation of section 5 subsection 13 of the code. Now what is section 5 subsection 13? Section 5 subsection 13, if we see, it talks of the insolvency resolution process cost. So whether it can be included as insolvency resolution process cost, this is the question. So what was the submission by the IP in this regard? IP submitted that no insurance policies were exclusively available for individuals and had to be taken only in the name of entities. Also, the cost of insurance was found to be lower if the policies were issued in the name of an entity or company. The coverage amount of IP was INR 70 crores, but coverage of such entity was INR 10 crores only. Now, what was the finding? The finding was that the expenditure approved by the COC towards an IP insurance policy was 29 lakhs for one policy. However, the IP purchased 2 insurance policies, both issued in the name of a third party entity, while covering the RP to the extent of INR 70 crores. That the IP submission on non-availability of an individual insurance policy was factually incorrect. The individual insurance policy was available in the market. IP created an additional burden on the ailing CD by unnecessarily extending benefits to a third party, and hence IP failed to act in a forthright manner. Okay? So this was the case. So just by going through various types of illustrations, we can come to know that how an IP should behave. Next is independence and impartiality. So an IP is required to maintain complete independence in its professional relationships and conduct the liquidation or bankruptcy process independent of external influences. He should avoid assignment where he or his relative or the IPE of which he is a partner or director are not independent of the CD and its related parties. And he has to make appropriate disclosure also. They have given an example also. The principle of impartiality may be threatened if any individual within the practice, the close or immediate family of an individual within the practice of firm or the practice itself has or had a professional or personal relationship which relates to the insolvency appointment being considered. Where this is the case, the IP should conclude that it is not appropriate to take up insolvency appointment. Okay? The substance of such relationship should be considered. What is the illustration? Inclusion of fees payable to lenders legal counsel in IRP cost. So here the lenders engaged a lawyer and the fees of the lawyer was included in the IRP cost. And it was mentioned that in case it is found, then they may be borne by the lenders. So this fact was discussed with them. So RP included the fees payable to the lender's legal counsel while calculating insolvency resolution process cost, which is not permitted. The RP cited his reservation on the aspect of fees of lender's legal counsel forming part of CIRP cost in the 18th COC meeting, but the COC decided to route the appointment of such legal counsel and payment thereof through the IRP, through the RP with an assurance that upon receipt of resolution plan, the fees payable to the lender's legal counsel will be negotiated with the resolution applicant. And part of the payment to legal counsel pertain to services rendered by the lender's legal counsel for the period prior to the insolvency commencement date. A resolution was passed by members of the COC that if IBBI does not allow this arrangement, the amount will be recovered on pro rata basis from upfront cash recovery amount to be paid to lenders, and COC may negotiate with the resolution applicant to pay the fees amount out of their cash flows. Okay. Now, in view of admission by RP of having charged lenders legal counsel fees from IRP, देखो जो lender का legal counsel है उसकी फीस किसको बियर करनी है? लेंडर को बियर करनी है ना? उसकी फीस दैट कैनॉट बी पार्ट ऑफ इंसॉल्वेंसी रेजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस कॉस्ट. तो दिस वाज द चार्ज and specifically for the services rendered prior to the insolvency commencement date. So RP was found contravening the provisions. Next point. IRP entering into term sheet with CIRP applicant OC in this case for appointment as RP. So the IRP signed a term sheet with the appointment of the CIRP, knowing very well that such applicant, being an operational creditor, neither has a role in the appointment of the RP nor in fixation of the fees of the RP, thereby attempting to deprive the COC of its legitimate right to appoint a RP of its own choice and fix the remuneration. देखो ओसी अपॉइंट नहीं कर सकता, ओसी थोड़ी ही आईआरपी को अपॉइंट कर सकता है. आईआरपी को कौन अपॉइंट करेगा? सीओसी अपॉइंट करेगी बेसिकली, है ना. सो आईआरपी हियर साइंड ए टर्म शीट विद द एप्लीकेंट ऑफ द सीआईआरपी. ठीक है. Now, what was the submission of the RP? It was submitted by the RP that it did not conceal anything in this regard. He placed the term sheet which provides for fees as RP before the AA. As an IP, he knows well that RP is appointed only by the COC. Yet he contracted with the operational creditor who is not legally competent to appoint RP. Next, failure to publish invitation for expression of interest. The RP failed to publish brief particulars of the invitation for expression of interest in Form G as required under Regulation 36A(5) of the said relations. Collusion of RP with COC and resolution applicant. So RP sought extension of time to enable FC and RA to work out a settlement. The OTS was approved by the FC on March 27 and RP issued notice the next day to hold the third meeting of the COC on 5th April 2018. He promised to explore every possibility to treat the OTS as resolution plan and thereby compromised his independence and sided with the parties and vitiated the entire CIRP. Okay? What was the submission? The insolvency of a CD has the most chance of being resolved if the RP, the COC, and the RA work closely to identify common ground, the best way forward. Acting with the stakeholders cannot be called as siding with the parties. So the point here was just हाजिर मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ एक बार मेरी मीटिंग चल रही मैं करता हूँ जस्ट अ मिनट So submission was that if we work together, then we can find common ground. And finding was RP did nothing till the expiry of normal IRP period. He obtained extension of time as the approval of the OTS by the CD was under process. वो OTS की वेट कर रहा था समझ रहे हो आप Thus the resolution plan was approved even before invitation for expression of interest was drawn up and the steps taken after the approval of the resolution were mere formality. ठीक है So it is active collusion of RP with the RA. तो ये सारे इंस्टांसेस जब आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको आइडिया लग जाएगा कि भाई क्या क्या आपको नहीं करना चाहिए रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ करेक्ट फैक्ट्स एंड करेक्टिंग मिस एप्रीहेंशंस यूज द वर्ड आईबीबीआई एज पार्ट ऑफ एलएलपी नेम अपना जो एलएलपी बनाया एक इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल ने उसका नाम में आईबीबीआई जोड़ दिया क्या नाम रख दिया आईबीबीआई इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रैक्टिशनर्स एलएलपी और वेबसाइट क्या बना दिया ibbi-ip.com without any prior authorization from the board and gave a misleading impression that LLP has been incorporated by IBBI or in some way related to IBBI. ठीक है misrepresented facts on company website. इस केस में क्या हुआ A director of a company had applied for IP registration with IBBI. And during the scrutiny of testimonials pertaining to his experience, it was found that the company's website stated, we are promoted by qualified insolvency professionals with accreditation from IBBI and empaneled with top financial institutions of India for recovery and insolvency related matters, which was misrepresentation of facts as none of the directors had obtained for IP registration. ठीक है अब इनमें किसी के पास भी आईपी रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं है लेकिन ये क्या कह रहे हैं ये अपनी वेबसाइट पर ऐसा बोल रहे हैं
Sir, this IBBA will verify all this, sir, your website and all before granting IP registration.
No, it's not like that. But actually, some people they may file complaint or somebody may come to know so moto also on their own. IBBA may take action, or it might be on the basis of some information, internal information that okay they are doing like this. Because it's a very small world now. Hardly 5,000 IPs are there. Only 1,500 are practicing. So it's very easy to know. There are groups. So the point is you cannot misrepresent. Next is submission of different excuses for resignation as RP before different forums. ठीक है तो इसमें क्या बोला कहीं पर बोला कि भाई हेल्थ इश्यूज हैं कहीं पर बोला कि माय बिल्स आर रिमेनिंग अनपेड समटाइम्स ही इज सेइंग ड्यू टू प्री ऑक्यूपेशन सो ही इज giving different excuses for resignation before different forums. Next is misleading IBBI and adjudicating authority. Here, the RP issued invitation for expression of interest with the requirement that the eligibility of resolution applicants shall be certified by a chartered accountant. However, such a requirement was never approved by the COC, but was approved by only one financial creditor. So, even if there is one influential financial creditor, suppose he is holding 83% vote share, still, if a decision is to be taken by COC, it can be taken by COC only and not by a single financial creditor. This is the meaning. Okay? So here he issued invitation for expression of interest with the requirement that the eligibility of resolution applicant shall be certified by a chartered accountant. But it was never approved by the COC. So RP submitted that the creditors who constitute COC have given post facto approval after issue of invitation for expression of interest, and that law does not require prior approval. ठीक है, the approval of the only secured financial creditor with 83% voting power is adequate. So he said it's a best market practice. But they say कि whatever may be the threshold, so secured creditor or creditor is not empowered to substitute the COC. ठीक है, so he was found siding with the largest financial creditor. Approval sought for extension of insolvency resolution process period by making false statement to AA. So RP sought an extension of time to the AA on the ground that he and the promoter were actively seeking out investors to formulate resolution plan and talks were in very advanced stage. So this is the argument they have given for extension of time. However, there was no such talk except the effort by the RA to reach an OTS with sole financial creditor. Therefore, RP obtained approval for extension of time by making a false statement to the AA. Next is RP submission to AA that section 29 is not applicable. In the written submission before the AA, RP submitted that section 29 is not applicable to the CIRP. The RP submitted that the AA has treated his submission as correct in law and that this cannot be visited in disciplinary proceedings. RP submitted before the AA that section 29A was inserted through this amendment, and he further submitted that it is not possible for the legislature to make a law that affects the rights that accrue to the parties on the date of commencement of the CIRP before the promulgation of the ordinance. So RP ensured that the RA, who is undesirable and ineligible under 29A, submits a resolution plan and takes over the CD belonging to his wife and son against the explicit mandate of the parliament. ठीक है, तो इन सब केसेस में क्या हो, आरपी फंस जाता है, कई बार लालच आ जाता है ना, भाई मिल जाते हैं उनके साथ
जी।
तो ये बहुत सारे इसमें इंस्टांसेस हैं विच यू कैन गो थ्रू. अभी हम क्या करते हैं, दूसरी फाइल पर चलते हैं. नाउ लेट अस सी इट फ्रॉम दिस इंसॉल्वेंसी, ये जो है ना आईपी रेगुलेशंस पर चलते हैं. तो एक बार ये रिपोर्ट आप पढ़ लीजिएगा पूरी, देख लीजिएगा इसमें जो जो भी इंस्टांसेस हैं, इसमें से कुछ इंस्टांसेस दे में आस्क, इसमें से क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं. लेकिन आपको थोड़ा सा इसमें प्रिकॉशन लिए लेना है कि इसको नए रेगुलेशंस के हिसाब से रिविजिट कर लेना एक बार. तो ये 648 651 पर चलते हैं. Let us go to this code of conduct, schedule, first schedule. ये हमारे इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल रेगुलेशंस आ गए. ठीक है जी. चलिए, ये हमारा है कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट। ठीक है जी, फर्स्ट शेड्यूल विजिबल है स्क्रीन पर? विजिबल है क्या जी?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट फर्स्ट इज इंटेग्रिटी एंड ऑब्जेक्टिविटी। ठीक है, इंडिपेंडेंस एंड इम्पार्शियलिटी। नाउ लेट अस पर्टिकुलरली सी दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट। यहां पर क्या है, ये कह रहा है इन इंडिपेंडेंस एंड इम्पार्शियलिटी इट सेज दैट एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल शैल डिस्क्लोज द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ any pecuniary or personal relationship with any of the stakeholders entitled to distribution under section 53 or section 178. ठीक है, 53 also we have read and 178 also we have read. 53 talks of corporate scenario and 178 in case of bankruptcy of individuals and partnership firms. ठीक है, so if he is related either in a pecuniary or personal relationship, ठीक है, तो ही हैज टू मेक ए डिस्क्लोजर। ये कहता है एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल shall disclose either to as to whether he was an employee of or has been in the panel of any financial creditor of the corporate debtor to the committee of creditors and to the insolvency professional of which he is a professional member। क्या मतलब? मतलब ये है कि अगर आप मान लीजिए कि किसी के पैनल पर हैं तो उस केस में, ठीक है, आपको डिस्क्लोज करना है। एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल, ये नजर आ रहा है कि नहीं अभी?
जी।
हाँ, तो एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल शैल डिस्क्लोज इट्स रिलेशनशिप इफ एनी विद द कॉर्पोरेट डेटर, अदर प्रोफेशनल्स एंगेज्ड बाय इट, फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स। देखो किसके साथ रिलेशनशिप हो सकता है इसका? इसका रिलेशनशिप हो सकता है सीडी के साथ, जो दूसरे प्रोफेशनल इसने एंगेज किए उनके साथ, फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स के साथ, इंटरिम फाइनेंस प्रोवाइडर के साथ, या प्रोस्पेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट्स के साथ, है ना? इसी में तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट अराइज होगा ना। तो इनमें से अगर
राइट।
किसी के साथ भी उसका रिलेशनशिप है तो उसको डिस्क्लोज करना है। कितने दिन के अंदर? विद इन 3 days। अगर मान लो आईपी का रिलेशनशिप है कॉर्पोरेट डेटर के साथ तो उसको 3 दिन के अंदर डिस्क्लोज करना है। ठीक है,
Within 3 days from the date of appointment.
हाँ, विद इन 3 days ऑफ हिज अपॉइंटमेंट। अगर
Where we need to disclose it at a BIBA website or
वो फॉर्म है उसके लिए।
okay.
हाँ, रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर्स, अकाउंटेंट्स, लीगल प्रोफेशनल्स विद इन 3 days ऑफ द अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ द प्रोफेशनल्स, फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर विद इन 3 days ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ सीओसी, इंटरिम फाइनेंस प्रोवाइडर्स विद इन 3 days ऑफ द एग्रीमेंट, प्रोस्पेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट विद इन 3 days ऑफ द सप्लाई ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम, and if relationship with any of the above comes to notice or arises subsequently then within 3 days of such notice। ठीक है, अब रिलेशनशिप है क्या वो भी चीज डिस्क्राइब की गई है। एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल shall ensure disclosure of relationship if any of the other professionals engaged by it with itself, the corporate debtor, the financial creditor, ठीक है, the interim finance provider। यहां पर भी रिलेशनशिप ऑफ द अदर प्रोफेशनल। तो पहले में क्या दिया हुआ है? पहले में दिया हुआ है रिलेशनशिप ऑफ द आईपी, जो इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल का रिलेशनशिप है। दूसरे में किसका रिलेशनशिप है? रिलेशनशिप ऑफ अदर प्रोफेशनल, ठीक है, जो उसने अपॉइंट किया है, जो प्रोफेशनल अपॉइंट किया, सपोज कोई वैल्यूअर अपॉइंट किया, वो आईपी के साथ रिलेटेड है। ठीक है, और रिलेशनशिप क्या है वो भी, उसका भी मीनिंग दे रखा है। ठीक है, for the purposes of clause 8b and 8c above, relationship shall mean any one or more of the following 4 kinds of relationship at any time or during the 3 years preceding the appointment of the other professionals। ठीक है, kind of relationship क्या है? पहला, where the insolvency professional or the other professional, as the case may be, has derived 5% or more of his or its gross revenue in a year from professional services to the related party।
Sir, I think we need to move to next page, I think.
ओके ओके, अच्छा मुझे क्या ये पॉज हो गया है, दोबारा से शेयर कर देता हूँ. ओके, नाउ आई थिंक इट विल बी विजिबल, है ना? इट वाज पॉज्ड आई थिंक.
Yes.
नाउ इट इज क्लियर.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So kind of relationship. What is the kind of relationship? Where the insolvency professional or the other professional, as the case may be, has derived 5% or more of its gross revenue in a year from professional services to the related party. Second, where the insolvency professional or the other professional, as the case may be, is a shareholder, director, KMP, or partner of the related party. ठीक है. Third, where a relative, spouse, parents, parents of spouse, sibling of self and spouse, and children of the insolvency professional or the other professional, as the case may be, has a relationship of kind A or B with the related party. मतलब क्या? मतलब ये है कि योर स्पाउस इज रनिंग ए कंसल्टिंग फर्म. ठीक है. उस कंसल्टिंग फर्म का 5% और मोर ऑफ टर्नओवर इज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ सीडी. सो देन यू हैव टू डिस्क्लोज दैट रिलेशनशिप. ये मतलब है. ठीक है. स्पाउस का, पेरेंट्स ऑफ स्पाउस, सिबलिंग ऑफ सेल्फ एंड स्पाउस एंड चिल्ड्रन. एंड फोर्थ पॉइंट इज वेयर द इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल और द अदर प्रोफेशनल, एज द केस में बी, is a partner or director of a company, firm or LLP, such as an insolvency professional entity or registered valuer, the relationship of kind A, B, or C of every partner or director of such company, firm or LLP with the related party. So this is the relationship disclosure. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. यहां पर वो आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है. सपोज योर ब्रदर इज ए शेयर होल्डर, ठीक है, इन ए कंपनी, एंड यू आर बीइंग अपॉइंटेड एज इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल. तो उस केस में क्या होगा? आपको डिस्क्लोज करना. अब आप कहोगे भाई आपको क्या पता कि आपका ब्रदर शेयर होल्डर है उस कंपनी में कि नहीं? तो फिर बताया विद इन 3 days ऑफ कमिंग टू नो ऑफ दिस फैक्ट. ये है. ठीक है. सिबलिंग आ गया ना इसमें. सिबलिंग में ब्रदर सिस्टर आ जाते हैं. सिबलिंग ऑफ सेल्फ एंड स्पाउस एंड चिल्ड्रन. और लास्ट में दे दिया इवन इफ योर पार्टनर इज अ शेयर होल्डर यू हैव टू डिस्क्लोज. ठीक है. योर सिबलिंग, योर चिल्ड्रन आर शेयर होल्डर or KMP or partner of the related party. In all these cases, you have to disclose the relationship. और टाइम भी दिया हुआ, कितने दिन के अंदर आपको देना है? विद इन 3 days ऑफ कमिंग टू नो ऑफ दिस फैक्ट. ठीक है. प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस, रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ करेक्ट फैक्ट्स एंड करेक्टिंग मिस एप्रीहेंशंस, टाइमलीनेस. ठीक है. यही सारे पॉइंट आपका वो जो मैंने दिया ना आपको उसके अंदर भी दिया हुआ है. इंफॉर्मेशन
UP.
मैनेजमेंट, कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी. ये यहां पर इंपॉर्टेंट है रिगार्डिंग ऑक्यूपेशन. क्या वो कहता है ये कहता है कि एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल मे रिजाइन फ्रॉम द असाइनमेंट सब्जेक्ट टू द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ द सीओसी इन ए CIRP consultation committee in liquidation process, the debtor or the creditor in the insolvency resolution process of personal guarantor to the corporate debtor as the case may be, and the approval of the adjudicating authority. ठीक है. तो सबसे पहले क्या है कि इनकी रिकमेंडेशंस के हिसाब से उसको रिजाइन करना है और फिर अप्रूवल भी हो जाए. भाई भाग नहीं सकता वो. अगर आपने एक IP के असाइनमेंट ले लिया तो क्या है, इनसे भी रिकमेंड कराएगा और उसके बाद में फिर अप्रूवल भी होगा. देन ही विल बी डिस्चार्ज फ्रॉम हिज ऑब्लिगेशंस. An insolvency professional must not engage in any employment when he holds a valid authorization for assignment or when he is undertaking an assignment. तो ये फुल टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट में नहीं हो सकता. ये भी है. Where an insolvency professional has conducted a CIRP, he and his relatives shall not accept any employment other than an employment secured through open competitive recruitment. जैसे मान लीजिए बैंकिंग सर्विस रिक्रूटमेंट बोर्ड का कोई एग्जाम है, उसके थ्रू सिलेक्शन हो गया, दैट इज डिफरेंट, है ना, ओपन कम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स में. बट अदरवाइज ऐसा नहीं कि आप तो CIRP कर रहे हो उस बंदे की और उसी में अपने भाई बहन को, बच्चे को लगवा दिया, वो नहीं हो सकता. ठीक है. टू ए क्रेडिटर हैविंग मोर देन 10% वोटिंग पावर। किसी क्रेडिटर के पास भी एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं हो सकती हु इज हैविंग मोर देन 10% वोटिंग पावर। द सक्सेसफुल रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट, उसके पास भी नहीं हो सकती। द कॉर्पोरेट डेटर और एनी ऑफ द रिलेटेड पार्टीज अंटिल ए पीरियड ऑफ 1 year हैज elapsed फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ हिज सेसेशन फ्रॉम सच प्रोसेस। ठीक है, तो ऐसा नहीं ना कि भाई आप तो उसके CIRP कर रहे हो और आपने कह दिया यार मेरे भाई को लगवा दो, मेरे बेटे को लगवा दो, वो सब नहीं हो सकता। ठीक है, तो 1 year का इसमें कूलिंग पीरियड है। एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल शेल नॉट
Suppose,
एंगेज।
sir, if he is already employed with the resolution applicant, the relative is already employee of.
Then he has to disclose that relationship.
Okay,
Then he has to disclose.
okay.
An insolvency professional shall not engage or appoint any of his relatives or related parties for or in connection with any work relating to any of his assignments. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं, कई लोग अपने रिश्तेदारों को ही भर्ती कर लेते हैं, उनको नहीं करना। फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ दिस क्लॉज the insolvency professional, which is an insolvency professional entity, may engage or appoint its partners or directors as the case may be for or in connection with any work relating to any of its assignment other than the work related to valuation or audit of the debtor. ठीक है, तो IPE के केस में ये एक्सेप्शन है because they are independent professionals. An insolvency professional shall not provide any service for or in connection with the assignment which is being undertaken by any of his relatives or related parties. ठीक है, अगर असाइनमेंट किसी रिलेटिव के पास है तो ये उसमें काम नहीं करेगा। फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ क्लॉजेस 23A to C, related party shall have the same meaning as assigned to it in clause 25 24A of section 5. ठीक है, but does not include an insolvency professional entity of which the insolvency professional is a partner or director. ठीक है, तो they can render service other than services related to valuation and audit. ठीक है, for or in connection with the assignment which is undertaken. Remuneration and cost must provide services for remuneration which is charged in a transparent manner, is a reasonable reflection of the work necessarily and properly undertaken. An insolvency professional shall disclose the fees payable to it, the fees payable to the insolvency professional entity, and the fees payable to professionals engaged by it to the insolvency professional entity agency of which is a professional member. तो ये सारा डिस्क्लोजर क्यों है, ये इसीलिए जरूरी है कि पता चल सके, ठीक है, कि उसको कितनी फीस मिल रही है, IPE को कितनी फीस मिल रही है, और जो उसने प्रोफेशनल्स एंगेज किए उनको कितनी फीस मिल रही है, ताकि अगर वो चाहें तो फिर उसका ये भी हो जाएगा कि भाई वो रिलेटेड है या नहीं है। An insolvency professional shall raise bills or invoices in its name towards its fees and such fees shall be paid to it through banking channel. ठीक है, चलिए, ऐसा नहीं भाई कैश में फीस दिखा दो आप। गिफ्ट एंड हॉस्पिटैलिटी, an insolvency professional or his relative must not accept gifts or hospitality which undermines or affects his independence as an insolvency professional. और ऑफर भी नहीं करेगा, ये नहीं कि NCLT मेंबर को जाके आप गिफ्ट दिया हो, वो भी नहीं है। An insolvency professional shall not offer gifts or hospitality or a financial or any other advantage to a public servant or any other person intending to obtain or retain work for himself or to obtain or retain an advantage in the conduct of profession for himself. ठीक है, तो ये सारे ये आपको कहां दिए गए हैं, कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में दे रखे हैं। अब ये थोड़ा सा केस स्टडीज के ऊपर देख लेते हैं। ये स्क्रीन नजर आ रही होगी आपको, है ना?
यस।
बहुत सारी एरर्स उसमें ऑब्जर्व की गई, दिस यू कैन गो थ्रू, इसमें कोई खास बात नहीं है। जैसे पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट, पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट आपको क्या कर रही है, रीजनल न्यूज़पेपर में मान लो आपने भाई रीजनल न्यूज़पेपर में आपको रीजनल लैंग्वेज में एडवर्टाइजमेंट करनी है, इसने क्या किया, इसने रीजनल न्यूज़पेपर में इंग्लिश में एडवर्टाइजमेंट कर दी। समझ रहे हो भाई, पर्पस क्या है, पर्पज ये है जिनको इंग्लिश नहीं आती, वो जो रीजनल लैंग्वेज पढ़ते हैं उनको रीजनल लैंग्वेज में समझ में आए। रीजनल न्यूज़पेपर में भी अगर आपने इंग्लिश में ही कर दिया तो पर्पज ही डिफीट हो गया, है ना। वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ क्लेम्स, शेयरिंग ऑफ नोटिस ऑफ सीओसी मीटिंग वाया ईमेल, ठीक है। सब्जेक्ट लाइन में लिखा रहता है कि भाई सब्जेक्ट लाइन में क्या क्या होना चाहिए। ये सारा एक बार देख लीजिएगा आप कि बहुत सारे इसके अंदर इन्होंने नॉन कंप्लायंसेस दे रखे हैं। ए टेबल ऑफ लिंक्स, इसमें क्या है, एक मिनट, ये क्यों, क्या क्या थे इसमें। एक तो जैसे ये है कि आपका नॉन एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ क्लेम बाय आरपी एंड फेलियर टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू क्लेमेंट। IP resigned before completion of CIRP, so you cannot run away from an assignment. IP appointed valuer based on recommendation by 1FC. So 1FC, howsoever influential he is, so he cannot recommend. अभी तो चेंज आ गया, अभी रेगुलेशन हमने देखे 35(1), तो 1 देर कुड बी ए प्रपोजल बाय COC ऑल्सो, ठीक है। IP handed over the custody of assets to suspended directors with approval of COC, so that also is not permissible. IP failed to appoint an independent forensic auditor and failed to file application for irregular transactions. IP failed to act on directions issued by IBBI. IP failed to act on an order of NCLAT and suppressed it before AA. IP instructed and allowed payment of his fees during CIRP to his LLP firm. IP connived with FC to bail out promoter through OTS. IP failed to discharge most of his duties. IP, while initiating CIRP against other entities, appointed his relatives as IRP. ठीक है, तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको देख लेते हैं एक बार जरा। ये अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ रिलेटिव्स, इसने क्या किया, अपनी वाइफ को ही बहुत सारे केसेस में अपॉइंट कर लिया। ये केस स्टडी कई बार आती भी एग्जाम में। इस केस में फैक्ट्स क्या है, फैक्ट्स इसमें ये हैं कि IRP of a CD filed application for initiating CIRP of 14 other CDs, ठीक है, and proposed to appoint his spouse as IRP of CIRP of all the 14 CDs, ठीक है। IBBI alleged that while IRP appointed his spouse, he failed to avoid conflict of interest and act with integrity and independence. IRP contended that he proposed the name of his spouse because she did not demand any upfront fees for the same, while all IPs he had approached wanted a signing fees and did not agree to fund the expenses for public announcement, checking claims and calling for COC meetings. The IRP further contended that he did this to revive the CD. तो इसने क्या किया, अपनी वाइफ को ही जो है जिनकी CIRP चल रही थी उसमें अपॉइंट कर दिया एज IRP। तो DC की क्या फाइंडिंग थी, द DC finds it difficult to agree with the contention of IRP that only an IRP who is willing to fund CIRP expenses should be appointed as IRP. An IP is appointed for his professional competence, not for his ability to fund the CIRP expenses, ठीक है। The DC also finds it difficult to accept the submissions that if IRP's spouse was not an IP, he would fail to appoint IRPs and therefore fail to revive the CDs, ठीक है। अच्छा, it requires no rocket science to figure out why IRP assigned CIRPs of all the CDs to one IP who was his spouse when 2000 plus IPs were competing for an assignment in the market, ठीक है। बकायदा 2000 IPs है, तो आपने अपनी वाइफ को ही सारे असाइनमेंट दे दिए। And it is not a coincidence that 15 assignments from one source landed on the table of the spouse of the IRP when she did not have a single assignment otherwise. 15 assignments at one go from one source for an IP having absolutely zero experience establishes that the considerations were something other than merits. And there was a deep rooted conspiracy to bleed the ailing CDs for the benefit of the IRP's family. ठीक है, if the conspiracy had materialized, the family would have acted as IRP RP of CIRP of 15 CDs. Further, as IRP RP of these 15 CDs, they would initiate CIRP of their debtors and appoint themselves as IRP RP of those debtors and so on. When relationship trims over merits in professional matters, there is no place for independence, integrity and impartiality. ठीक है, तो इसमें क्या हुआ, इसको इन्होंने बार कर दिया. इसी तरह से बहुत सारे हैं, ये आप एक बार देख लेंगे तो सही रहेगा. एक इसमें इंडिपेंडेंस हमें देखो, जब हमें इंडिपेंडेंस देखनी है तो इंडिपेंडेंस आप कहां से देखोगे. देर आर वेरियस रेगुलेशंस. ठीक है, जितने भी प्रोसेसेस हैं फॉर अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ आरपी, लिक्विडेटर, बैंक्रप्सी ट्रस्टी, ठीक है, चाहे सीआईआरपी हो, चाहे फास्ट ट्रैक हो, चाहे लिक्विडेशन हो, चाहे बैंक्रप्सी हो, इंसॉल्वेंसी हो, क्या कहते हैं, ए पर्सन शैल बी कंसिडर्ड इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ द कॉर्पोरेट डेटर इफ इज एलिजिबल टू बी अपॉइंटेड एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर. ठीक है, तो उसके लिए हमें क्या पढ़ना है, हमें सेक्शन 149 पढ़ना है ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट. तो ये सेक्शन 149 है ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट. तो क्या कहता है ये कहता है, एक बार पढ़िए जरा प्रदीप जी इसको.
Yes, sir.
एक
Uh,
मिनट, एक मिनट, जस्ट अ मिनट, मैं थोड़ा सा इसको बड़ा कर देता हूं. यस प्लीज, इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर.
an independent director in relation to a company means a director other than a managing director or a whole-time director or a nominee director
हम्म.
who, in the opinion of the board, is a person of integrity and possesses relevant expertise and experience, who
हम्म.
is or was not a promoter of the company or its holding or subsidiary or associate company, who
हम्म.
is not related to the promoters or directors in the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company, who has or had no pecuniary relationship other than remuneration as such director or having transaction not exceeding 10% of his total income or such amount as may be prescribed with the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company or their promoters or directors during the two immediately preceding financial years or during the current financial year.
हम्म.
None of those relatives is holding any security or interest in the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company
मैं इसको
during
थोड़ा
the
सा,
two immediately.
जस्ट अ मिनट, मैं इसको ना थोड़ा सा, हाँ अब करता हूँ.
During the two immediately preceding financial years or during the
हाँ.
current financial year.
हम्म.
Sir, I think
यस प्लीज, हाँ
screen.
ऐसे पढ़ लीजिए इसको. हम्म.
Yeah. Provided that the relative may hold security interest in the company of face value not exceeding 5 lakh rupees or 2% of paid up capital of the company, its holding or subsidiary or associate company or such higher sum as may be prescribed. He is indebted to the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company or their promoters, directors in excess of such amount as may be prescribed during the two immediately preceding financial years or during the current financial year, has given a guarantee or provided any security in connection with the indebtedness of any third person to the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company or their promoters or directors of such holding company for such amount as may be prescribed during the two immediately preceding financial years or during the current financial year, has any other pecuniary transaction or relationship with the company or its subsidiary or holding or associate company amounting to 2% or more of its gross turnover or total income singly or in combination with the transaction referred to in subclause 1, 2, 3.
तो पॉइंट क्या है? पॉइंट ये है कि हमें इस तरह से इसको चीज को देखना है। अगर ये कोई भी कंडीशन होती है तो क्या होगा? ये इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं माना जाएगा।
Yes,
ही इज नॉट फिट टू बी अपॉइंटेड एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर।
correct.
अब इसको देखते हैं, एक बार ये पढ़िए जरा, पढ़िए प्लीज।
Okay.
यस प्रदीप जी।
PNB Bank planning to go for CARP against ABC Limited, and for this purpose, PNB is shortlisting the list of proposed IRP on 1st April 2023. Mr. Ram, partner of CA firm Kumar and Company
Company
LLP,
LLP.
appointed as auditor of ABC Limited for 20 to 23, but audit is yet to be done. Mr. Sham, ex-employee, left on 15th December 2017 of a CA firm, Kumar and Company LLP, appointed as auditor of ABC Limited for 20 to 23, but audit is yet to be done. Mrs. Janki, partner in CA firm XYZ and Company, auditors of ABC Limited for the year 21-22. Mr. Lakshman, left on 1st February 2010, ex-employee of BCD and Company, auditor 2020-21. Mr. Ravan, partner of PQR LLP, auditor 2019-20. Mr. Hanuman, left on 1st May 2022, ex-employee of LMO and Associates, auditor 2018-19.
So these are the facts. Now, first of all, we have to see whether Shyam left Kumar and Company last 3 years or earlier. श्याम ने जो है, श्याम कब का था? श्याम has left the company.
2017, 17th.
हाँ. So whether Shyam left Kumar and Company last 3 years or earlier, as he left in 2017 end,
17.
है ना? और अभी क्या है?
2005.
अभी
22
आपको
30.
अपॉइंटमेंट कब करनी है? 1/4/2023 को,
23, yes.
है ना? So it is
Answer.
more than 3 years from April 2023, and therefore Kumar and Company is eligible. क्योंकि यहां पर जो ईयर क्या लिखा है? ईयर लिखा है, फाइनेंशियल ईयर नहीं लिखा, है ना? वर्डिंग यूज क्या है? ईयर।
Year.
यहां देखिए, इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल, ये अगर हम इसको देखें, ये वाला, तो क्या कहता है ये? लास्ट में क्या लिखता है रेगुलेशन 3 में? इन द लास्ट 3 फाइनेंशियल ईयर्स।
Last 3 financial.
तो ईयर यहां पर फाइनेंशियल ईयर है। ठीक है,
20
3
to
साल से
20.
पहले हो गया तो हो सकता है,
Yeah.
कोई इशू नहीं। एलिजिबिलिटी फॉर अपॉइंटमेंट एज लिक्विडेटर, ठीक है, वहां पर क्या है? इन केस ऑफ लिक्विडेशन इट इज 10% और मोर, इन केस ऑफ ए लीगल और कंसल्टिंग फर्म। बाकी तो कंडीशन सेम ही है। CIRP में 5% है और लिक्विडेशन में 10% है। ये
Sir,
अपॉइंटमेंट।
I have one
यस
doubt,
प्लीज,
sir.
यस
Here.
प्लीज।
For no, for CARP, they have mentioned for if the auditor,
यस,
uh, no, he is a related party. If it is during the last 3 years, if he is a auditor, he cannot be appointed as a RP.
राइट।
But for individuals and partnership firms, they allowed it.
नो नो नो, दे सेइंग, it says is not an employee or proprietor or partner of a firm of auditors. Actually, suppose Mr. X is proposed to be appointed as IRP, ठीक है? Now he was an employee of an audit firm, which was the auditor during the last 3 financial years, so he cannot be appointed.
He may
If
be
he-
disqualified.
If he was a partner, he cannot be appointed.
In all the 3 cases, he will be disqualified.
हाँ, employee, Partner or
Or
proprietor?
proprietor. Right.
Robert. Suppose currently I am the auditor of a company, sir. So can I be, I cannot be appointed as a RP.
No, definitely
Yes.
not.
So, but they allowed it for again individuals and partnership firms.
No, no, no.
Oh,
No, under part 3, in part 3,
okay.
Part 3, yes.
part 3 may I think it is allowed, sir. The auditor can become a uh, RP for an individual.
Okay,
No, sir.
let
It
me
may not be.
open. I
No, no, sir.
understood your question. Now
होना नहीं चाहिए sir.
let me just open this insolvency resolution process for personal guarantors to corporate regulations. Okay. So here I am reading from regulation number 4, eligibility of resolution professional. So there also it says
He has to disclose the no audit fees. That's it, sir. To the committee of creditors, what is his remuneration from the audit during the last 3 years? That has to be disclosed.
right. Hmm. Let me just open regulation number 4 also, since you have asked this question. So let me open that regulation. Let us just see it from there. Just a minute. Control home. And now we have to see the insolvency professional regulations. So they are given on 1023. 1023 page number. Just a minute. Let me open that 1023. So these are the regulations. And now let us see regulation number 4. Just a minute. 1024. So this is the eligibility of resolution professional. Okay. I hope now it is visible on your screen. So what it says? It says the insolvency professional entity of which he is a partner or director, and all partners and directors of the said insolvency professional entity are independent of the guarantor. Okay. Not subject to any ongoing disciplinary proceedings. The insolvency professional entity of which he is a partner or director does not represent any party in the resolution process. If he is not an associate of the guarantor, not a related party, has not acted or is not acting as IRP, RP or liquidator in respect of the corporate debtor, the expression related party shall have the meaning assigned to it in subsection 24. So you say that the disqualification regarding auditor is not here, है ना? This is your point.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Right. So you are correct to that point that okay. So even if he has been an auditor, but if he is currently the auditor, he cannot be appointed. Suppose he is auditor also of this individual. So whether my question is, suppose Mr. X is undergoing insolvency resolution process. Now Mr. A is his auditor. So can he be appointed as insolvency professional? The answer is no. At the same time, he cannot hold two positions.
Right.
क्यों
Okay, sir.
बोलेंगे?
Yeah, I got it, sir.
If he
So-
was a auditor in preceding 3 years, preceding 3 financial year,
If he is currently not holding that position, he may be, because there is no such ineligibility here. एलिजिबिलिटी ऑफ दिस रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल, यहां पर वो कवर्ड नहीं है।
Preceding 3 financial year is not here.
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, हाँ। ये था केस स्टडीज, ठीक है, ये हो गया। Conduct of CIRP, appointment of professionals. So in case of, if you want to appoint a professional, so he also should not be an auditor of the CD at any time during the period of 5 years preceding the insolvency commencement date. ये वाला स्क्रीन विजिबल है ना आपको अब?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
चैप्टर 8, हाँ। सो इन केस ऑफ अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ प्रोफेशनल्स ऑल्सो, वहां पर क्या कंडीशन है? ही शुड नॉट बी द ऑडिटर ऑफ द सीडी एट एनी टाइम ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड ऑफ 5 years preceding the insolvency commencement date. अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर, ये हमने क्या किया, डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस में दे दिया, ठीक है ना। अब जैसे अगर रजिस्टर्ड वैल्यूअर आपको अपॉइंट करना है, तो उस केस में भी क्या है कि ऑडिटर नहीं होना चाहिए एट एनी टाइम ड्यूरिंग दी 5 years प्रीसीडिंग द इंसॉल्वेंसी कमेंसमेंट डेट। तो सीआईआरपी में क्या कंडीशन है, फास्ट ट्रैक में क्या है, लिक्विडेशन में क्या है, वॉलेंट्री लिक्विडेशन में और प्री पैक में क्या है? ये बहुत सारे केसेस हैं जिसको आप एक बार देख सकते हैं। ये रेड फ्लैग वाला अगर नहीं नजर आ तो व्यू में ना ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट कर लीजिएगा इसको, तो आ जाएगा। आपको ऐसा लगेगा खाली पेज है, खाली नहीं है ये। ये फिर कुछ क्वेश्चंस दे रखे हैं। ये तो हमने पहले भी कर लिया। ये फिर फीस से रिलेटेड कुछ प्रोविजंस हैं। नाउ द फीस इज बेस्ड ऑन द क्वांटम ऑफ क्लेम्स एडमिटेड। ये भी थोड़ा ध्यान में रखना है आपको, इसको जरूर ध्यान में रख लेना। सो देर इज मिनिमम प्रेस्क्राइब्ड फीस। तो एक तो ये चार्ट है बेस्ड ऑन द क्वांटम ऑफ क्लेम्स एडमिटेड। उसके बाद में ये है फिर आपका परफॉर्मेंस लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव फॉर टाइमली रेजोल्यूशन, और फिर परफॉर्मेंस लिंक्ड
जी सर,
इंसेंटिव फॉर वैल्यू मैक्सिमाइजेशन।
बोले।
This is for CIRP, sir.
ओके, ओके सर।
यस, यस, दिस इज फॉर सीआईआर, राइट। सीआईआरपी का, सीआईआरपी रेगुलेशंस का ही पार्ट है ये, शेड्यूल 2।
Okay.
This is given in Schedule 2 of CIRP regulations. So this we must remember. This is the
So
minimum
this
fees.
is if COC has not fixed any fee, this is the applicable fee.
Right. This is the minimum fees. So higher fees may be charged, but not less than this. But this is only for the period on or after 1st October 2022. The fees of the IRP or RP appointed on or after 1st October 22 shall not be less than the fees specified in clause 1. ठीक है? Now, but suppose COC has approved a resolution plan, then the fees will be reduced because the duties are reduced in that case. है ना? बाद में उतना फीस नहीं रहेगा. क्या लिखा है ये period is also important. Period for minimum fees. The minimum fixed fee shall be applicable for the period from appointment as IRP or RP till the time of submission of application for approval. Once the application has been submitted for approval of the AA, then fees will be reduced. Submission of application for liquidation or submission of application for withdrawal. Okay? So beyond this period, fees may be reduced. And order for closure of the CIRP process, whichever is earlier. Performance linked incentive is also there. So if it is completed within 330 days, then there is an incentive. ठीक है? अगर 165 डेज में हो गया तो 1% मिल जाएगा. और रियलाइजेबल फीस का भी यहां पर मीनिंग है. रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू हैज स्पेसिफिक मीनिंग हियर. Realizable value is the amount payable to creditors in the resolution plan approved under section 31. Example भी इन्होंने दे रखा है इसका.
That they mentioned more than 330 days, zero.
Yes, because 330 days is the maximum period. This is the incentive, na? So they want to incentivize early completion.
Okay.
तो
Like price.
हाँ, तो भाई मोर देन 330 डेज को थोड़ी इंसेंटिवाइज करेंगे वो. एज पर सेक्शन 12 कितना मैक्सिमम पीरियड है? 330 डेज
Yes, yes, sir.
है ना? इसीलिए तो इसके लिए आपको क्या करना है, वो जो हैंडबुक मैंने दी है वो पढ़ लीजिएगा एक बारी. और ये अपना कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट हैंडबुक में थोड़ा सा और देख लेते हैं. लेट अस सी सम मोर पॉइंट्स हियर. Appointment of RP and fixation of RP is proposed as two separate resolutions before COC. इसने क्या किया? इसने दो रेजोल्यूशन बना दिए. क्या? एक तो अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ आरपी और फिक्सेशन ऑफ आरपीज फीस. भाई एक ही रेजोल्यूशन बनाना चाहिए था इसको. समझ रहे हो आप? अब सीओसी ने क्या किया? एक रेजोल्यूशन अप्रूव कर दिया, एक दूसरा अप्रूव नहीं किया. IP sought approval from COC for two resolutions. पहला, appointment of self as RP and amount of fees to be paid to him as RP. Resolution A was approved, B was not approved. Consequently, there was no decision and repeated meetings and waste of resources. ठीक है? तो उन्होंने कहा, भाई आईबी ने कहा कि भाई आप इतने चालाक क्यों बन रहे हो? आप एक ही रेजोल्यूशन बनाते ना, आपने दो रेजोल्यूशन बना दिया. टेकिंग एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी टाइम टू फाइल एन एप्लीकेशन अंडर सेक्शन 66 कि वहां पर टाइमलाइन भी दे रखी है ना? 75, 115 एंड 130 डेज. नाउ इफ यू आर टेकिंग टू मच टाइम, so application in this case under section 66 was filed after 412 days from the date of commencement of CIRP. Non-consideration of claims and failure to respond. Delay in taking action against an unauthorized transaction. So RP had not taken any action for 245 days towards correcting the unauthorized transaction until the inspecting authority pointed out the issue, and no discussions before COC were held regarding such unauthorized transaction of transfer of money to a group company post insolvency commencement date. And RP did not mention the unauthorized transaction in the scope of the forensic and transaction audit agreement either. Professional competence. इश्यू ऑफ ईओआई ये हमने कर ही लिया विदाउट अप्रूवल ऑफ सीओसी, है ना. He got it approved only from one FC, who was influential financial creditor. Then charging abnormally high fees. RP contracted a consolidated professional fees of INR 50 lakhs plus out-of-pocket expenses with the applicant who had a claim of 13 lakhs only. एप्लीकेंट का क्लेम 30 lakhs का है, ये अपनी फीस चार्ज कर रहा है 50 lakhs. It was alleged that this defied logic and indicated intention of insolvency professional to inflate expenses. Failure to publish invitation for expression of interest. List of creditors presented in a wrong format to the COC. ठीक है. But the list of creditors were not prepared in accordance with Regulation 13. In some list only claims amount was specified, while in other list only admitted amount was mentioned. तो अगर if we see CIRP regulations तो वहां पर क्या है कि there is a fields, वहां बहुत सारे फील्ड दे रखे हैं कि भाई ये चीजें आपको डिस्क्लोज करनी है. Regulation 13, if you see, so what it says regarding the claims received, 13.1. 13.1 says that the IRP or RP shall verify every claim and thereupon maintain a list of creditors containing names of creditors along with the amount claimed by them, the amount of their claims admitted, and the security interest, if any, in respect of such claims and updated. तो 13.1 में पूरा दे रखा है कि क्या क्या आपको डिस्क्लोज करना है. अगर आप उस तरह से नहीं देते तो भी गलत है. Further, RP also failed to specify the interest applied for computation of claims with respect to class of creditors in violation to Regulation 16A7. So Regulation 16A7 क्या बोलता है कि you have to include interest at the rate of 8% per annum in case of home buyers. Allowing an unregistered valuation firm to continue until it got registered with IBBI. Letterhead of IP reflected profession as lawyer and not insolvency professional. Failure to invite resolution plans and other non-compliances. Missed recording of facts in minutes of meeting by oversight. Outsourcing the responsibility of verification of claims. वो ही कहता है जो आईआरपी का काम है, आरपी का काम है, उसको ही करना है. आप उनको जो है वो नहीं कर सकते. It was observed that payment of 3 lakhs plus GST has been paid for verification of claims, which could have been saved had the verification been done by the RP himself. RP को खुद करना है, RP ने आगे आउटसोर्स कर दिया उस काम को. An IP cannot outsource any of its duties and responsibilities under the code. An IP can take support by appointing accountants, legal or other professionals. However, he cannot outsource duties assigned to himself under the regulations. Holding COC meetings after filing of liquidation application. भाई अब आपने लिक्विडेशन एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर दी, उसके बाद कौन सी मीटिंग कर रहे हो आप? तो these are the various instances. Hmm. In Punjab National Bank versus Divya Jyoti Sponge Iron Private Limited, the RP sought for necessary assistance and security for himself to visit the factory premises of the CD to carry out statutory duties and obligations peacefully. Keeping in view the threats by the CD, the NCLT ordered the Superintendent of Police and the in charge of the concerned police station to provide proper and effective assistance to the RP. Confidentiality. So you cannot unauthorized access to or leakage of such information has the potential to impact the processes under the code. So every information related to the CD, you have to keep it as confidential and you have not to disclose or provide access to any information to any unauthorized person. अब इस केस में क्या हुआ, विजय कुमार जैन वर्सेस रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल में ए मेंबर ऑफ द सस्पेंडेड बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स फाइल्ड एन एप्लीकेशन सीकिंग कॉन्फिडेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन एज स्टेटेड इन रेगुलेशन 35. उसने बोला सस्पेंडेड बोर्ड मेंबर ने कि भाई मुझे भी वैल्यूएशन के बारे में बताओ, है ना, विच रिक्वायर्स द आरपी टू प्रोवाइड फेयर वैल्यू एंड लिक्विडेशन वैल्यू टू एवरी मेंबर ऑफ द सीओसी. The A disposed of the application with liberty to the applicant to attend COC meetings, but not to insist upon the COC or the RP to provide information which is considered confidential. अब please note that he is not a member of the COC. So if they ask you the question whether a suspended board of director, whether a suspended director of the board is a member of the COC, no. He is entitled to participate. He is entitled to attend the meetings, but he is not a member of the COC. Members of the COC are only unrelated financial creditors. Liquidation value report by the two registered valuers should only be shared with the committee of creditors, and the contents of the report shall be treated as confidential information. Both valuers are independent of each other and no matter discuss with each other the valuation report. ठीक है. Giving consent to act as IP in multiple CIRPs at the same time. ये वही केस है हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ वाला. तो हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ वर इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल, दोनों इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल थे, है ना. हस्बैंड इन द कैपेसिटी आईआरपी फाइल्ड एप्लीकेशंस फॉर इनिशिएटिंग सीआईआरपी ऑफ 14 भाई एक जब आप आईआरपी बनते हो तो आप क्या कर सकते हो, जिनसे भी आपने पैसे लेने हो उनके अगेंस्ट में सीआईआरपी फाइल कर सकते हो ना. ये वही केस है. तो हस्बैंड एक कंपनी का आईआरपी था, उसने क्या किया कि सीआईआरपी फाइल करा दी 14 कॉर्पोरेट डेटर्स की, ठीक है ना, और उसकी वाइफ बन गई उनमें आईआरपी फॉर सीआईआरपी ऑफ ऑल 14 सीडीज साइमल्टेनियसली. एक्स एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर प्रपोज्ड एज आईआरपी. ये एक्स एम्प्लॉय वाला केस. Delay in submission of documents to IBBI. Failure of RP to submit to the board a copy of the records of every proceeding before the AA. Failure to respond to claimants and IBBI. Sharing of information memorandum before publication of expression of interest. Failure to submit records of every proceeding before the AA. Failure to make disclosure to IPA with respect to appointment of professionals. ये बहुत सारे केसेस हैं जिससे थोड़ा सा आपको आइडिया लग जाएगा कि उसको क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. पेमेंट ऑफ एक्सॉर्बिटेंट फीस टू द प्रोफेशनल्स ड्यूरिंग द कंडक्ट ऑफ सीआईआरपी। भाई कई लोग लूटने पे आ जाते हैं ना कंपनी को। ऐसा बहुत सारी चीजें लॉ में नहीं लिखी हुई हैं, तो ये नहीं कि आप कंपनी को लूटना ही शुरू कर दो। अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ फोरेंसिक ऑडिटर बेस्ड ऑन द डिसीजन ऑफ सीओसी, charging of hefty fees by the RP and appointed related parties without any due diligence. Appointment of an entity which is not an IPE to provide support services. तो इतना ही काफी है। थोड़ा थोड़ा आपको आइडिया हो गया होगा कि उसको क्या करना चाहिए और क्या नहीं करना चाहिए। तो देखिए ऐसा है, ये दो तीन जगह पर दिस दिस ऑल इज स्प्रेड ओवर 2-3 प्लेसेस। पहला क्या है, रेगुलेशंस हैं, सीआईआरपी रेगुलेशन है, लिक्विडेशन रेगुलेशंस है ना। इन सब में क्या है, एक तो अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ आईआरपी है। आईआरपी के ऊपर कुछ रिस्ट्रिक्शन, किस किसको ही शुड नॉट बी रिलेटेड पार्टी ऑफ द सीडी, है ना, वगैरह वगैरह। टर्नओवर का कुछ परसेंटेज है, सीआईआरपी में 5% है किसी कंसल्टिंग फर्म का, लिक्विडेशन में 10% है। वो अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ प्रोफेशनल्स में कुछ रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हैं कि शुड नॉट बी एन ऑडिटर ऑफ द सिटी ड्यूरिंग द पास्ट 5 years। और कुछ केसेस में क्या है कि देयर इज नो बार, लेकिन जैसे मान लीजिए आपका ब्रदर है, आपका ब्रदर एक कंपनी में शेयर होल्डर है, तो क्या आप उस कंपनी के आईआरपी अपॉइंट हो सकते हैं? कोई बार नहीं है ना।
Disclose. Disclose
लेकिन क्या
करना
है,
पड़ेगा।
डिस्क्लोजर।
ये हार्ड डिस्क्लोजर है, उसमें डिस्क्लोज करना है आपको। और आपको पता होगा तो ही डिस्क्लोज करोगे, आपको पता ही नहीं तो डिस्क्लोज भी नहीं करोगे। ये भी बात है नेचुरली, है ना। तो वो चीज है।
Sir, failure for disclosure, what are the consequences?
पेनल्टीज आर
Suppose
देयर।
unintentionally, sir, not that
No, no,
intentionally.
no. Then he has to prove. No, he has to then
Okay.
prove it. Let me show you in the code of conduct itself. वहां पर ही दे रखा है ये। जस्ट अ मिनट। देर आर पेनल्टीज। एक बार लास्ट वो देख लेते हैं। ये जो है, ये है ना इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल रेगुलेशंस, हाँ, 651। तो मैं 651 पे आपको 2 मिनट में पेनल्टीज भी और बता देता हूँ। दे कैन आस्क यू क्वेश्चन ऑन पेनल्टीज ऑल्सो। सो देर आर पेनल्टी प्रोविजंस। ये 651 से शुरू है। बस इट विल टेक जस्ट 5 minutes। ये इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल रेगुलेशन है, ठीक है जी। ये रेगुलेशंस है हमारे। और रेगुलेशन में, एक मिनट, ये 651। ये आ गया आपके आईपी रेगुलेशंस। ये आपकी पेनल्टी चार्ट है पूरा। कौन चला गया, एक मिनट। जस्ट अ मिनट, ये अभी तो मैं देख रहा था, एक मिनट। यस, ये आपको ना आईपीए रेगुलेशंस में मिलेगा। दिस यू विल फाइंड इन आईपीए रेगुलेशन नंबर 24, जो ये आपके बायलॉज है ना, मॉडल बायलॉज। मॉडल बायलॉज पर चलते हैं। मॉडल बायलॉज में 24, एक मिनट मैं निकाल देता हूं अभी। तो मॉडल बायलॉज देखिए कि मॉडल बायलॉज में 24 नंबर रेगुलेशंस हैं, 621 टू 647। हम्म, इसका 24 नंबर ये है। ठीक है जी। तो 641 ये नजर आ रहा होगा आपको। इज इट विजिबल नाउ?
No, yes.
है ना? तो ये है। So if you fail to submit disclosure, return, etc. to agency, or submit inadequate or incorrect disclosures relating to any assignment, तो उसमें 1 लाख और 25% ऑफ फीस विच एवर इज हायर, सब्जेक्ट टू मिनिमम ऑफ 50,000 रुपीज। इफ यू एक्सेप्ट एन असाइनमेंट हैविंग कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट विद द स्टेक होल्डर्स, तो पेनल्टी है अप टू 2 lakhs और 25% ऑफ फीस विच एवर इज हायर, सब्जेक्ट टू मिनिमम ऑफ 1 लाख। तो इसमें आप ध्यान रखिए, एक तो 1 लाख या 25%, मिनिमम 50,000, एक ये वाला स्लैब है। एक है अप टू 2 lakhs और 25% ऑफ फीस, सब्जेक्ट टू मिनिमम ऑफ 1 लाख। ज्यादातर इसके अंदर कवर्ड है ना। दो तरह की पेनल्टीज है। ये आपको कहां दे रखी है? मॉडल बायलॉज में। मॉडल बायलॉज में आपका ये पॉइंट नंबर है 24। ठीक है। तो ये पेनल्टीज आपको दे रखी है, ये सारी पेनल्टीज है। जो प्रदीप जी आप पूछ रहे थे ना पेनल्टीज क्या है, ये पेनल्टीज।
Yes, yes.
So if you reject a claim without even any proper reason, so up to 2 lakhs or 25% of fees, whichever is higher, subject to a minimum of 1 lakh। ये सारा आउटसोर्सिंग इज ड्यूटीज एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज। तो आपसे ये भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है कि जैसे वन ऑफ द आईपीज रिजेक्टेड द क्लेम विदाउट गिविंग एनी प्रॉपर रीजंस, ठीक है ना, तो व्हाट इज द पेनल्टी लेविएबल इन सच अ केस। तो ये पेनल्टी भी आपसे पूछ सकता है। ये सारे इन्होंने इंस्टांसेस दे रखे हैं। फेलियर टू रिजेक्ट रेजोल्यूशन प्लान फ्रॉम इनएलिजिबल रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट, फेल टू प्रोवाइड नोटिस रिगार्डिंग मीटिंग्स ऑफ क्रेडिटर्स, सब केस में है। तो इनमें से कोई भी आपसे पूछ सकता है ना। तो ये भी कोई ये 14 है एक्चुअली पेनल्टीज, 14 टाइप्स ऑफ इंफ्रैक्शंस है, कॉन्ट्रावेंशंस है। और ये सारी पेनल्टीज ये कहां पर दे रखी है? मॉडल बायलॉज में, क्लॉज नंबर 24। ठीक है जी।
Okay.
तो इसको जरूर याद कर लेना है, इस पे पूछ
Oh.
सकता है सवाल आपसे। जैसे कोड ऑफ एथिक्स में सवाल पूछेगा ना, उसमें 3 क्वेश्चन
Hmm.
बनाएगा वो, 6 मार्क्स का आना है। तो एक क्वेश्चन इसके ऊपर बना सकता है वो, पेनल्टीज के ऊपर। और कोई
Oh.
ज्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है इसको याद करना,
जी।
क्योंकि दो ही तीन तरह की पेनल्टीज है सारे, है ना। आप थोड़ा सा
राइट।
ध्यान करेंगे तो ध्यान में आ जाएगा।
राइट।
भाई एक तो 1,25,000 है, 1 लाख और 25,000 या मिनिमम 50,000 है। दूसरा है 2 lakhs और 25% मिनिमम है 1 लाख। दो ही तरह की दे रखी है ज्यादातर
जी।
इसके अंदर। तो आपको ये ध्यान में रख लेनी कौन से में 1 लाख वाली है, कौन से में 2 lakhs वाली है।
राइट।
ठीक है जी। तो आज का कथा यहीं समाप्त करते हैं।
Okay, sir.
Good night.
Good night.